Hello, awesome people! I hope you're having an amazing day today. Today we're taking a look at J.R.R. Tolkien's The Legend of Sigurd and Gudrún. This is a story that was written by him, an epic poem. There's actually two epic poems in this that break it down. That took me about 3 days for me to knock it out. It's much of this book. Don't be too. Whoa, that's a big read. Much of this is just commentary on those two poems. The first one doesn't start to like 50 pages into the book proper. I dropped it. That's kind of funny. Oh, let's keep that in. Then you guys can laugh at me for dropping a book. Anyway, so don't look at the size of the book to scare you. It's about 50 pages or so before the first one starts, and it ends after about 170 pages of the first one, and then there's about another 40-50 pages between it and the next one, and then another 40-50 pages at the end. So it has a lot of commentary, but the actual proper shorts, these longer epic tales in poem form, are definitely shorter and don't take as much time for you to read. I knocked it out in 3 days and about an hour a day. I knocked out the first one is the longest one. It's about 170 pages long in this one. So I knocked it out, about 70 pages the first day and 80 pages the second day. And then I knocked out the 60 page one on day 3. And none of them took me longer than an hour. So it's probably more like, actually thinking about it, probably like 2 hours and maybe a half or so to knock out both the poems in this. This is telling the story of Sigurd, the famous person in Nibelungad in Nordic mythology, and his lady friend Gudrún. It has some darker aspects to it. Nothing here is brand new to the story. This is just a retelling, if you will, of this classic sort of story between Sigurd and so forth. Now, it's basically his life. So it'll go over, the first couple of chapters go over who his parents are, that sort of a thing. And then he'll be born in a chapter. Then we'll advance to him being an adult. We're not even going to have him as a child. And then he's going to be, in the next chapter, he's actually going to go and go after a dragon that he kills with his famous magic sword. So that's going to be the battle against the dragon in the next chapter. So this goes through his whole life very quickly. So this will have a very quick clip for you folks. It introduces characters like Brunhilde, Gudrun, lots of other major characters too. Fafnir, his sword Graham. It's a classic telling of the story, the cursed gold that will end up cursing him from the dragon proper, that sort of a thing. So all this stuff is pretty cool and happens pretty cool. This is definitely, again, this is by J.R.R. Tolkien, but this is not in the Middle Earth legendarium. This is really more in Norse myth and Germanic mythology rather than that proper. So there you are. That's this epic poem in 2 parts for you folks that will take you just about 2.5 hours for you to knock it out too. We've been doing a deeper dive into the famous writer J.R.R. Tolkien's stuff, including some of his earlier stuff in Middle-earth, as well as some other things like Mr. Bliss, the Welsh Journal epic poem that he published that we've also looked at. So we've been doing a deeper dive into some of his stuff that he published or either during his life or posthumously. And in some cases, he actually, in Mr. Bliss, the children's book, actually tried to get it published during his life. After he published A Hobbit, he said, "Do you have any more like this?" And he submitted it. He wrote it and submitted it to the art for it, and they said, "No thanks." Well, do you have anything else? Right. He also submitted it to Silmarillion too, and it was rejected during his life. So that was also pretty. So that was something that happened a lot, and so a lot of things have been published posthumously, or either things he tried to publish and then didn't, or were things that he just never thought about publishing. Like for example, The Children of Hurin, which he wrote in the late 1910s rather, that was published in 2007. That we just recently went back and reread for a second time and knocked it out for this channel. So we've been doing a deeper dive then into the famous fantasist J.R.R. Tolkien, who was my first adult person story I ever wrote with The Lord of the Rings. I read The Hobbit and then I just followed it up. I read it over an entire summer because I was between my 5th and 6th grade years, and so it was definitely pretty long. And he was my first favorite author. And so we've been doing a deeper dive then into this, some of these older things that got published either during his time or posthumously. So you can check it out. The Legend book for you folks on Amazon. I'll link you to it in the comments below. Have you read it? If so, what did you think about it? Let's talk about it in the comments below. As a reminder, I keep my reviews spoiler free, even though this is a famous telling of a story. So even though it's very, very famous, if it's the first time you've come across it, I don't want to spoil what happens, right? Right. So I've only got you like 4 or 5 chapters into like a 10 chapter story, right? And then the last few take a lot longer than the first few. They kind of blow through just a few pages, right? So, so I have not gotten you any spoilers or anything like that. And then there you are. We'll move forward. So there you are. I'll go ahead and leave you to it. If you want to talk about spoilers, let's do it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, why not hit that subscribe button? There's going to be a lot more of these to follow. And then finally, I want to thank you so much for taking some time out of your day and investing and watching my video. We all have so many things that are happening in our lives, and we're pulled in so many different directions. So the fact that you spent this time with me is incredibly humbling, and I appreciate it. So thanks again, and have an amazing day.